What's going on, everyone? Cult of Timmy here. If you're new here, welcome. For my returning subscribers, welcome back. And if you're new here, please hit that red subscribe button down below. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a post, and like this video to your favorites. Share it around with your friends and family who might have gone through the same and or similar situation. This is a video I never thought I'd talk about, but I want to spread awareness for anyone who might have gone through the same and or similar situation that I'm about to talk about. Not only for myself, but again, for anyone else. Also, I've been verified on Twitch, which is still crazy to think about for me. So, if you're new here or a returning subscriber, please go over to my Twitch, hit that follow button, subscribe if you want to. I play games on there, mainly GTA. I've also been running a lot of Deceit, but please also recommend me some other games to play and try out, and I'll give it a shot. So if you want to, come out there, have fun with me and game with me, whatever, and talk, feel free. My Twitch is over there. My Twitch, again, is the same as my YouTube channel, Cult of Timmy, 2 underscores. I posted it on my community tab, so again, go check that out. I might either be live later tonight or sometime this week. So again, be on the lookout for that, and I look forward to seeing you guys over there. Now that I got that out of the way, strap your guys selves in, get some snacks, get some drinks, get some popcorn, whatever, because this is going to be a crazy, intense story that I'm about to talk about. So, I want to say, a little over 12 years ago, I had met this individual. Also, I want to say, really quick, disclaimer, I have no hate whatsoever at all. I'm not talking about Jackhammer at all in a negative way, again, whatsoever. I just want to talk about the individuals I had lived with, especially one that I'm mostly going to be talking about. There's 3, but I got along with the 3rd one, so they're not going to be mentioned in this story. I just want to say that because, I lived with 3 people, and 2 being married. And another thing I also want to add, I have no problems with people who are into polyamorous at all whatsoever. I just want to talk about the 2 individuals, mainly, again, the one that I've had a problem with, especially when my life started getting better. So, again, no hate toward Jackhammer, nothing against polyamorous at all whatsoever. I'm just talking about the 2 individuals, mainly one. So, anyway, again, I want to say about 12 years ago when I first moved to Chicago. I've mentioned a little bit here and there about what I was going through in my mental health life update. If you want to check that video out, it's there, so go watch that if you want to. So, anyway, like I said, about 12 years ago, I met this individual, and I thought this individual was really cool. And I didn't put it past me, the type of person this individual was. I didn't think that this individual had a bad temper. Although now that I think about it more and more as time goes on, about the time after I had met them, the bad temper he had when coming out, or coming back into the bar one night. One of our friends in the circle was trying to warn me about this person, trying to say negative things about them. And I didn't care. I put it past me, whatever. So, after that, after seeing this individual have a bad temper about one of our friends talking about him in a negative way to me, again, I put it past me. So, life carried on. We were getting along, I thought, but I hadn't really fully gotten to know them, gotten a chance to, really actually hang out with them. I mean, I did over the years after that, hang out on occasion here and there. I thought things seemed fine, and everything did look fine to me, or so I thought. This all started going to Jackhammer when I was with my ex at the time. I was visiting Chicago, and Jackhammer was one of the bars that my ex took me to. So we went, hung out, had fun, all that good stuff, and I fell in love with the bar. So, anyway, like I said, time went on. On a periodical occasion, I'd hang out with this individual. And, I thought I wanted to build a friendship, whatever. And then, over time, I want to say, within a couple of years, the past couple of years when I actually did move in with them, I didn't really know anything about them until I moved in. Me and my ex had a love-hate relationship toward each other. Sometimes you either get along with your ex, sometimes you don't. Or sometimes there's a middle line between that. And at this period a couple of years ago, a little over a couple of years ago, we weren't getting along. So I'm like, okay, I need somewhere better to go. So, again, I was hanging out with this individual when I lived above Jackhammer. Again, I wasn't aware of his temper that he had. He was so fixated on thinking my ex was taking money from me, which my ex was not. My ex wasn't taking money from me. That was not the case. But my old roommate was just so fixated on wanting to know that he was. Wanting to know that my ex was taking money from me. So, we set up an agreement to, help me move in and whatever. But another night, before I get into that, there was another night where I was hanging out with them, obviously above the bar, just a random night. And my old roommate was like, does your ex get mad when you do whatever you want? And I lied. I'll admit I lied, only because I didn't know how to handle the situation. I felt scared, because I didn't know how my old roommate was going to respond. So I lied and said yes, which I shouldn't have lied, but I did, unfortunately, in this circumstance. So anyway, it's all said and done. Anyway, so my old roommate helps me, get my stuff and helps me move out of my ex's place, where I used to live, obviously. This was, again, unfortunately, in the period where we weren't getting along. So, again, I moved in with my old roommate, who I learned from my ex when I started to have issues with my old roommate, where I started to learn that you don't really know someone until you live with them. And my ex was right about that. My ex was right, because, again, things seemed fine with my old roommate, and in turn, they ended up not being fine. Anyway, so after, like I've talked about in my previous video, how I was going through stuff with Detroit and being kicked out of a band, unfortunately, my old roommate wasn't really helping me with it. Like, just the way my old roommate was responding with how I was feeling didn't really do anything to help make the situation better. Talking about wanting to help me, get my life better and all that, it never got to happen. It never happened. And in turn on that, which I'm going to talk about in my story, in turn, I never got to be on the lease. Even when I was working with my old roommate, I never was going to be put on the lease. Anytime reality hit, and it got really tough, didn't happen. Whenever, again, we talked about it, it just never happened. Even when I had a really good job working with Jackhammer, I was making a lot of money at the time with Jackhammer in the company, still never got put on the lease. And then, again, even after I quit my job because I caught my roommate looking through my phone, or he eventually gave himself away, I'm not going to give the light of the satisfaction of exposing my old roommates like this. I'm just, going to say old roommate 1 and 2. Anyway, I never was going to be put on the lease. Even after time was all said and done, I never was. Anyway, so I started to notice a pattern of this behavior. Like when I talked about talking about one of my gaming friends that I reconnected with, my old roommate was like, just stop talking to him. Stop talking to him. But was saying it in such a nice and sugar-coating way. Like, they were just talking about, like, oh, just stop talking to him and dating with him. And I'm like, I said okay, even though I didn't really care. I just said okay. Anyway, so that was one of the first warning signs I wasn't aware of. And then when I started to get my life better again, after I thought my life was falling apart left and right, after losing a lot of metal friends after what happened in Detroit, unfortunately. I mean, I still have some metal friends till this day I communicate with, so if they are watching this, thank you for staying by my side no matter what. Even friends that aren't in the metal community, Thank you for staying by my side no matter what. It really means a lot to me. So, anyway, like I said, I didn't think anything of it. And whenever there'd be other people I wanted to go hang out with, after I had moved in with the two individuals, my old roommate would get mad that I'm going somewhere. But I didn't see the signs develop until a little later on in the year of 2023. Just like when I was recommended to play darts. Again, like I talked about in my previous video. Excuse me, sorry. A little burp there. Anyway, so I, again, didn't really see the warning signs until my life started actually improving, actually getting better. And my old roommate didn't care about that at all. Only if my old roommate and his husband were fighting. Then it mattered. But other than that, when things were fine, then it was a big deal. Or whatever. Which I'm going to get into. Anyway, so I want to say, before I found darts, like I talked about in my previous video, I want to say around summer of 2023, again, when my life started getting better and started improving, I started hanging out with karaoke friends and all that, my old roommate would start getting mad. And I didn't understand why, but that's because I wasn't fully aware of the warning signs, like I said. I wasn't really fully aware of the warning signs of him getting angry, even just me giving other people attention. You know, again, I wanted to make my life better. Since my old roommate wasn't doing that, I could do certain things that he allowed, but certain things that I wasn't allowed to do. And I'm an adult. Like, any normal human being would just go and hang out with their friends if they wanted to or whatever. So anyway, when my life started getting better, it started getting worse, in a way. It did. It was a middle thing. Middle weird way of how my life was. Anyway, so when my life started getting better, my old roommate started getting angrier. And I should also add how when I quit my job, it's because I found my old roommate looking through my phone on a couple occasions. He said, "Oh, it's only been a couple times." No. There's been more than a couple occasions. Like, I'll give an example. There was this one person I was texting, and I couldn't understand why. I couldn't understand why my old roommate was laughing at me in a text, like, "Oh, let's go downstairs. Let's go downstairs and hang out," and all that stuff. Until I got in the bar and I saw why, and I started getting really bad anxiety, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. Do whatever. And so I left. My roommate and his husband went downstairs with us, and I'm like, now I see why. So I left and still kept talking about it, and I don't remember anything else after that, but that's beside the point. So as time goes on, it gets worse, like I said. Yeah, sure, it was nice I was recommended darts and all that stuff, but then when I actually joined a league like I talked about in my previous video, I had to actually play. We played on Thursday nights. We would play on Thursday nights because that's when you play darts, is on Thursday nights. So anyway, the first few weeks of actually joining on a team, it actually was a nightmare. It actually was a nightmare trying to just go play darts like I was recommended to do again. But oh no, it was such a big deal. Then over time, again, it got a little better, but not really. So there was an occasion, like I said, how I quit my job with my roommate looking through my phone. There was one occasion where it got so bad. I had left my phone unattended. I went to go work and do whatever I needed to do. And my roommate, old roommate, so happened to look through my phone and see me and my ex texting and talking about important stuff. And then my old roommate comes downstairs in the basement of one of the bars and acts all nice, but then brings up something else that we were texting about and makes a big deal, loses his temper, like always, gets mad at me, and trying to calm it down, but It's too far gone, too far late to get it to stop. To get it to stop of him getting mad at me about me texting my ex. Like I'm gonna say this. It didn't matter if they were gay or straight. My ex or my old roommate didn't want me hanging out with anybody. Literally didn't want me hanging out with anybody, even after I developed a better life for myself again. There would be occasions later on that it did get better, but not really, which I'll get into again. So there was also another time where I was hanging out with one of my dart friends, one of my old dart friends, and my old roommate got mad at me because I was again hanging out with one of my dart friends after darts was over, because sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, but on this night we did. And one of my old roommate texted me and said, "Do you love your dart buddy?" Like, trying to set me up. Literally was trying to set me up to get mad at me. And I said, "Yeah, but it's weird that he was doing that, but I get it why he was doing that." So anyway, that happened. And then there was also another time where I was gonna go to my friend's house, one of my friends, and this was before I went to Missouri for darts. Anyway, way before, kind of like a month before. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Anyway, so I go downstairs because I missed the bus, the first bus, and then it was a random Monday night, and then my old roommate comes downstairs, sees me, and then leaves. And then I made the unfortunate mistake waiting for the next bus to come, but I didn't know this. So I made the unfortunate mistake going outside to go catch the bus, and right as I saw my old roommate walking his dog, he turns around and sees me and pretty much follows me as far as he could get to with his dog until the bus came. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. There'd be occasions where there would be a fight that would get so bad, I would stay at my friend's house for a night or a couple nights, depending on the situation I was able to. And then there'd be occasions where my friends would, again, help me out, whatever. Like, for example, like, every Thursday night after things started actually showing, like, my roommate's true colors started showing, there'd be some occasions when Dennis was alive. There'd be occasions where Dennis would let me stay overnight because I would tell him about the situation, like, hey, my old roommate's gonna be a completely different person on Friday. Can I stay with you? And Dennis would have no problem agreeing. Dennis was one of the dart players on our old team back in the day, who I mentioned about in my previous video. So anyway, on occasions, Dennis would let me stay, and yeah, Dennis would let me stay over when I needed to, and that was cool. There's also occasions where one day before darts, my old roommate was looking at his phone and saying, "Oh, my dart friend's this and that," and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you've never mentioned these dart people, and all of a sudden you're mentioning them, which is weird to me. So anytime I made friends, somehow my friends had to be his friends. They had to be his, which is crazy, because there'd be some friends, like for another example, I had come back from Missouri, I think the first or second time. I had come back from Missouri, and my old roommate had this big smile on his face saying, "Oh, my friend," I'll give an example, Jonathan. "Oh, my friend Jonathan, last name, insert last name here, this." And I'm looking at my roommate, and I'm like, I got really quiet, because I'm like, I've blocked out everything, even Gmail, and you're talking about this person that's my friend. Again, anytime I make friends, they automatically had to be my old roommate's friends. So anyway, after that happened, It was weird. And then there'd be occasions again. He'd look through my phone more than a couple occasions. I know he'd look through them. Because when I had to look for something on his phone, I'd see the search history. I'm like, who are these? These are my friends. In my head, I'm like, these are my friends. And they're in his search history. And then it gets all mad and butthurt that I called him out for looking through my friends. And then, right before I moved, before all this, before the very end, before my last day in Chicago, I should have also mentioned, there was another period, even after Dennis had passed, my old roommate had no respect for boundaries. My old roommate had no respect for boundaries whatsoever. I'd specifically tell my old roommate time and time again, I need space to grieve, wouldn't give me any space to grieve. A lot of other people did. Even my friends that weren't karaoke or darts or metal, like even just people that I knew, they would give me time to grieve. Even one of my gaming friends, who I know is watching this video, even sympathized for me and felt bad and all that other stuff. So anyway, there was one part of the year, I want to say it was this year? Yeah, it was this year. Me and one of my friends had to host my birthday party. Not a birthday party, but my birthday party. We had to host my birthday party, and I was going to be gone for one night. And my old roommate's freaking out, telling me I should just leave, telling me I should just go live with someone else. And I'm just like, I'm just going to host my own birthday party that me and my friends worked hard to set this up for, and freaking out over it. And I'm like, I'm only going to be gone for one night. Anytime I was gone for a night, my old roommate would freak out. It was like, I've had occasions where I've had to call the cops in the morning because it would be so bad. Like, before the cops came, my old roommate's like freaking out, like, oh, they're not going to do anything or whatever. But the cops ended up having to defuse the situation because they could see how bad it was. Like, there's the second time I had called the cops, and they had to defuse it. Told my old roommate I couldn't leave because my driver's license was on there, and I lived there, so they couldn't do anything about it. So I just walked off. Because, it got that bad. Anytime reality hit, my old roommate would lose his temper. I also have still nasty voicemails my old roommate would leave me. I still have nasty voicemails for it. Anytime my old roommate's husband would go to bed, would just leave me nasty voicemails, telling me I should just go move out with somebody else, live with somebody else, all that other stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is a completely different person. Like I said in the beginning, my ex was right. You don't really know someone until you live with them. So anyway, as time was coming to an end, when I had eventually moved out, I want to say the last few days in Chicago, as me and my ex were, getting my stuff packed and cleaning stuff out and all that other good stuff, my old roommate comes in. I specifically told my old roommate to give me space while I'm doing this. But nope, insists on coming upstairs, bothering me throughout the entirety of me doing this and all this other stuff. And literally says right in front of my ex, Tim, you're not moving out and all this stuff. I'm like, no, it's done. I'm done with this. I don't have to deal with this. I don't want to put up with this. There was also another occasion there's a couple occasions I want to talk about before I wrap this up. There was one occasion where my old roommate came in the bedroom once, and I was just minding my own business, and this was after I had quit. There was an occasion where my old roommate got so mad at me out of nowhere and says, you better save in an angry way, coming in saying, you better save a lot of money because you owe me a lot of money. And I'm like, I'm just trying to do whatever I needed to do when I was minding my own business. And then, again, here he comes telling me that I need to pay him money, but I don't. And I'm like, This is coming from the person who loses his temper at me, leaving me nasty voicemails, still tells me I should just move out and all this other stuff. So anyway, then there's another occasion that I want to talk about, again, before I wrap this up. There's another occasion where, and this has happened on multiple occasions actually, where as simple as just brushing my teeth or just taking a shower, my old roommate would assume that meant I was going out. Assume I was going somewhere. Excuse me. Assumed I was going somewhere. And I'm like, no, I just want to take care of myself. As any normal human being watching this would. Any normal human being, if you're not going anywhere, but you just want to take care of yourself. But no, my old roommate tied that to thinking I was going somewhere. And it turned into a big fight over nothing. Because my old roommate's husband doesn't do that. Doesn't take a shower, brushes his teeth, but that's about it. But doesn't take care of himself really, and I've seen that. Like I've said again before, you don't really know someone until you live with them, and I took that advice to heart, because I started to, again, after explaining all this, I started to see the warning signs, and I did. I woke up, and saw everything that my ex had told me about. I think I mentioned this before early on, but when I told my old roommate about one of my gaming friends who watches my videos, my old roommate would tell me to stop talking to him. And I'm like, I said okay even though I didn't really care, but whatever. We're gaming, we're talking and hanging out, obviously, as what friends do. So we're still doing that. I'm like, so I'm allowed to do this, but I wasn't allowed to do that, which is a very narcissistic behavior. Anytime I call my roommate out for his behavior, my old roommate out, he'd get mad. Really get mad at me. Just for me speaking up for myself and all this other stuff. So yeah, that's what I had to deal with. Again, I want to say this in the utmost respectful way. Please, 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 please be respectful of Jackhammer. This has nothing, again, to do with Jackhammer. It has to do with the two individuals I lived with. Oh, and another thing about my old roommate, I also wanted to talk about. So, days before Dennis had passed away, unfortunately, I'll never forget one of the other roommates that lives there, that, again, I never had an issue with. One of the other roommates had a stroke, unfortunately. And now, all of a sudden, I'm already having a bad day as it is. I'm already having a bad day. All of a sudden, they're screaming and crying and all this stuff. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. My old roommate's trying to get me to help. And I'm like, no. Your husband's swearing at me, yelling at me, calling me names and all this stuff. And I don't remember a whole lot of it, only because it was a very tense night. And so I'm like, you know what? I don't need to deal with this. I don't want to be part of this. Your dog's attacking me, all this other stuff, and a dog you don't even care about, but your dog's attacking me, and yeah, I'm getting out of here. So I called Dennis up. Dennis could hear how stressed out I was, how much pressure I had. My blood pressure was through the roof, and I didn't know about that. Didn't know I had high blood pressure when I was living there. It made sense, though, thinking about my life about that. So I went over, stayed with Dennis, obviously, and yeah. So this was days before Dennis had passed. Literally a couple days before, because Dennis passed away on a Thursday night. So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, that's all I went through. All that in the span of 2-3 years. Yeah. I also want to say, I'm not talking bad about my gaming friends whatsoever. I'm just going to talk about this briefly. There would be occasions where they make fun of me for living above Jackhammer, which, I get it. It meant no harm, but to me, because of what I was constantly going through, I took it the wrong way. And eventually it did stop. It did stop. And I wish I didn't take it to heart, but because of what I was going through, constantly arguing with my roommates, mainly the one I've been talking about, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I couldn't wrap my head around this. So I just took it to heart, unfortunately. Now it doesn't really. I told myself if I moved out, it might be different, and it is now different. So now I wouldn't take it to heart as much. Like I wouldn't feel bad about how they would make fun of me on occasions. So I know they're gonna be watching this. So again, on occasions, if they made fun of me for living above a bar, I wouldn't care nearly as much. So anyway, after that, I started to mentally feel better again after moving out of there. After improving my life again in the best way. I can take a shower, I can brush my teeth, I can do all these things that I couldn't do before. I can hang out with friends whoever I want, whenever I want, if I feel like it. I'm still new here, developing friends regularly, but I'm still getting better. I'm definitely in a lot better place than where I was. And yeah, now my life's been improving a lot. I'm happy that I'm at a better place than where I was just half a year ago, literally. Like I said, I think I lived there for about 2-3 years. So yeah, that's pretty much what I had to go through. The hell I had to endure. The pain and grief my old roommate had put me through. And I hope whoever took the time to watch this video, if you ever went through the same and or similar experience, I'm sorry if you went through this. I sympathize with you. Please, again, like I said, feel free to leave a comment down below if you've gone through this same and or similar experience. I'd love to hear it. Let's try to spread ourselves some positivity in this crazy situation. Because that's what we need in this world, is more positivity. So, again, I look forward to hearing your guys' stories if you've been through the same and or similar experiences down in the comments below. And like I said, I'm probably going to be live on Twitch later tonight, or just whenever you see me live, come in, say hey, let's have a fun time, and who knows, I might have some friends in there that you'll hear. Without further ado, thank you guys for staying from start to end, and I will see you guys in the next video.